Emma sat at the kitchen table, her notebook open but her pencil barely moving. The words on the page blurred into nothingness because her attention was somewhere else, on the sound of laughter spilling from the living room. Her older brother had a friend over again, the one who always seemed to carry a light around him. Jake. Every time he dropped by, the house felt warmer, brighter, as though he brought a piece of the outside world inside with him. Emma pretended to focus on her math problems, but her ears leaned toward his voice, catching every casual joke, every easy laugh. When Jake walked past her to grab a glass of water, he paused just long enough to smile at her and say, "Hey, kiddo. Homework mountain again?" It was such a simple line, tossed out without thought, yet to Emma it felt like a secret gift, something she would tuck away to replay later when the house was quiet. She managed a shy smile, cheeks warming, while he ruffled her hair in the brotherly way that both embarrassed and delighted her. She knew it was just a crush, one she could never speak aloud. To Jake, she was just the little sister at the table, hidden behind her books. But to Emma, he was the kind of person who made life feel bigger, full of possibilities. And though she kept her secret locked tightly inside, it was enough to make her heart beat faster, reminding her that even ordinary days could hold extraordinary feelings. The rain had started suddenly, pouring down in heavy sheets that blurred the world into gray. Emma hugged her books tightly against her chest, but the pages were already damp, the ink beginning to smudge. Each step on the sidewalk felt heavier than the last, her shoes soaked through, her mood sinking lower with every drop. It hadn't been a good day, her test hadn't gone well, and a few girls at school had whispered just loud enough to make her feel small. Now the rain only seemed like the world agreeing with her. A car slowed beside her, its headlights cutting through the drizzle. For a moment, Emma's heart jumped in nervousness, until the window rolled down and she saw Jake leaning across the seat. "Emma," he called, his voice tinged with concern. "You're gonna drown out here. Get in." She froze, embarrassed, but before she could answer, he stepped out into the rain, his own hair plastered to his forehead. Without hesitation, he slipped his jacket from his shoulders and wrapped it around her, warm despite the storm. The kindness in that simple gesture nearly undid her. She climbed into the passenger seat, clutching the jacket close, its sleeves far too long for her but strangely comforting. Jake didn't tease her like he sometimes did. He just glanced over and smiled gently. "Rough day, huh? Don't worry, storms never last." And in that moment, drenched and shivering but safe beside him, Emma saw more than the boy she admired. She saw someone who noticed when others needed shelter. That evening, the storm had passed, leaving the house wrapped in the quiet hum of crickets outside the windows. Emma sat curled up on the couch with a book she wasn't really reading, listening instead to the low voices drifting from her brother's room. She hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but when she heard Jake's name, her ears sharpened. Her brother laughed about the ride home earlier, teasing Jake for playing chauffeur. She waited for Jake to joke back, to shrug it off, but his reply was softer, almost serious. "It wasn't a big deal," he said. "She just looked like she needed someone today. She's got a good heart, you know. You should take care of her." Emma's chest tightened, the words pressing into her like something fragile and important. He wasn't talking about her homework, her test scores, or whether she was her brother's little sister. He was seeing her, really seeing her. For the first time, even if she doubted, he knew how much it meant. In that quiet moment, Emma realized her feelings for Jake weren't about wanting his attention or his smile. What she admired most was his kindness, the way he noticed when someone was struggling and offered comfort without asking for anything in return. For the first time, she understood that what drew her to him wasn't a childish crush. It was the example of the kind of person she wanted to grow into, someone whose small acts of care could mean everything to someone else. A few weeks later, the rain had long since given way to clear skies, but Emma carried that moment with Jake like a lantern inside her. At school, she walked through the halls with her usual quiet steps, keeping to herself, until one afternoon she noticed a girl standing by the lockers. Her backpack was half unzipped, and a pair of boys had just scattered her books across the floor, laughing as they walked away. The girl bent down quickly, her shoulders hunched as though she wanted to disappear. Normally, Emma would have looked away. She wasn't brave, not the kind to step into someone else's problems. But something inside her shifted. She remembered the weight of Jake's jacket on her shoulders, the warmth of being noticed when she thought no one cared. Before she could second-guess herself, she walked over and crouched beside the girl. "Here," Emma said softly, gathering the books into a neat pile. She offered a small smile. "Don't worry about them. You can walk with me." The girl blinked, surprised, and then gave the tiniest nod. As they walked down the hallway together, sharing the shelter of Emma's umbrella on the way home, the silence between them wasn't heavy, it was safe. It was such a simple act, costing Emma nothing more than a few words and a little courage. Yet when she saw the relief flicker across the girl's face, Emma felt a warmth bloom inside her, stronger and steadier than any crush ever could be. That night, Emma sat at her desk, the soft glow of her lamp pooling over the pages of her journal. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator downstairs and her brother's muffled laughter from his room. She twirled her pen between her fingers, replaying the moment at school, the shy gratitude in the girl's eyes, the way something so small had shifted the air around them. Slowly, Emma began to write. Not about Jake this time, not about the secret crush that once felt like the center of her world. Instead, she wrote about the kind of person she wanted to be. Someone who noticed. Someone who stepped in, even when it was uncomfortable. Someone whose kindness could be the jacket in a storm, the umbrella on a gray walk home, the voice that reminded others they weren't alone. Her words tumbled out, shaky but sincere. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was scribbling wishes into the void. She felt like she was sketching a map for her own heart. When she finally closed the notebook, a quiet smile lingered on her lips. Emma realized her crush had been less about wanting to be loved, and more about learning what love really looked like: care, compassion, and courage. She turned off the lamp and slid under her blanket, the room sinking into darkness. Yet inside, she felt bright, because she knew even the smallest kindness could change someone's day, and maybe even their life.